Hi, I'd like to share a little information that you might find helpful when you are camping in our Thor Motor Coach. It is truly a pleasure to drive and fun to camp in. These small compartments here on the bottom side is all for storage, and the larger one in the back also has great amount of storage. It'll even reach all the way to the other side for long items. This is not storage, it's a television that's on the outside. The RV door can be locked with the handle lock or the deadbolt, and then there's a screen door, and that can snap into place into the door. And the important thing to remember is when you're shutting the door, you grab this handle here, not the handle on the screen door. The handle on the screen door can break off easily. This is the handle you use to pull the door shut. When you begin to enter into the RV, you'll find two switches on the bottom side. This switch here on the left is to disconnect the batteries from the coach. You shouldn't have to use this switch at all, but sometimes it accidentally gets turned off. And when that happens, you'll no longer have 12-volt electricity. There won't be a light on in here without being plugged in, or you won't find the time displayed on the clock on the radio. So try not to do that switch at all, and if you find some of that to happen, just turn it back on again. Then here's the slide or switch for the awning, and then we also have switches up here for the main light and a porch light and an awning light and a receptacle. So let's go on in, and right now we have the slide out. There's an area here where you can set up a table. There's holes in the ground, and behind the couch there are legs there, and you take those legs, put them in the holes, and there's a tabletop. The larger one goes here. There's another smaller tabletop that can be set up between the captain chairs while you're driving, or if you are just eating and want to watch outside. There's a television. There's remote controls that are in this cabinet up on the top by that DVD player. There's a Blu-ray player. If you want to get a signal from the antenna, this has to be cranked up, and then it has to be adjusted to where you are able to receive a signal. The television has to search for that signal. So sometimes it's just a lot easier to watch Blu-ray player if you're wanting to watch something, or hopefully the campground you're at allows you to hook up to their cable TV. Just select that input. So microwave oven, and there is a 3-burner propane stove. Just decide which burner you want, turn it on and hit spark, and you'll have flame. It's a nice refrigerator freezer. Freezer is nice and large. The refrigerator does a good job too of cooling. It is set, when it's set on auto, it will run on gas whenever you're not plugged in, or it'll run on electricity whenever you are plugged in. And you can set it to whichever setting you like. The beds are set up for twin beds at this time, and that works the most convenient, comfortable. However, if you'd like to have a king-size bed, there's a couple of ways of doing that. One is, first of all, you can take this foam that has a hard bottom to it and place it between the mattresses, and there's a little ledge right here that it would set on, and then that would make a king-size bed all the way across. Or what I like to do is put the two mattresses together. There's a board that I have listed underneath it here. Take that board, put it between the mattresses, then slide the mattresses together and flip the foam one on either side, or you can slide the mattress way over and put the foams on end. Whatever works best for you, but it's a good, comfortable bed. A lot of storage for you. A television back here. The remotes will say number 2 for this particular television, number 1 for the one in the living room, and 3 for the one outside. Here is your temperature control. You can put it on cool if you want the air conditioner, heat if you want the furnace. You have to be plugged in to shore power for the cool, and the heat runs off of the propane furnace. And the fan could just be set on auto. And then here's a light switch for the bedroom. The bathroom door has a kind of a different latch. You have to push down on this latch to open the door. And then the door fans out, which will block off the front and give you some privacy. It gives you a full-length mirror. And then the bathroom is set up like a typical RV bathroom. Stool has a lever on the right-hand side that when you want to use the stool, you push it about halfway down and you'll get water into the tank. And then after you're done and you want to flush it, then you can put your foot on it and push it all the way down and it'll flush. Always try to leave a little bit of water in the bowl. And your shower, it's a nice little shower. It works best off of the campground water supply. If you try to use the pump, it doesn't have enough pressure, and so it doesn't do that good a job. Here's an electrical outlet for shaver or curling iron or hair dryer. If for some reason you use too much juice and it pops a breaker, this is a ground fault here, so you need to push that in to reset it. And also the outlet that is by the sink in the kitchen is run with this particular ground fault. Sometimes to close it, you need to also push on this button to allow it to close. The couch pulls into a queen size bed, but it's not the easiest to set up. You pull on this lever, and then the couch will pull all the way out. And when it pulls all the way out, you put over the particular stand that it sets on, so it sets here flat. And then in this corner, down behind here on the bottom, there's a little compartment where you'll find an air mattress and a air pump to pump up that air mattress. And it sleeps nice with the air mattress, but it is a little bit of a pain to always have to set up an air mattress and take it back down again. So that's why a lot of people just sleep on the couch, because it's 68 inches long and usually long enough for most people. There's a step ladder back here, and that goes for the overhead bed that's up at this point in time. But you can put that bed down. You need to make sure that those captain seats are leaning forward, because otherwise it'll hit them when it's coming down. And to bring it down, there's this button right here to raise it, to lower it, and that'll bring the bed back down to lower it down. Here's our monitor. We know that there's tanks on the RV. There's the gray water tank, there's a black water tank, and there's a fresh water tank. Gray water would be the water coming from the sinks, black water from the stool, and the fresh water is a holding tank for whenever you need to use water and you're not plugged into a campground water supply. To use that water, here's a water pump, and you flick it on, and you'll hear the pump run for just a little bit to build up pressure, and that'll be taking it from the fresh water, giving you pump. So you just push in the button, and that'll tell you if the tanks are empty or full, where the levels are, the battery, if you're low battery, and then of course your LP gas too. If you are going to use the generator, to use that, there's the stop side. Push it down and hold it down for about 10 seconds. There'll be a light on, display will show, and then when it's about ready, you push the start button and the generator will start. And then when you're done with it, just push the stop button and hold it down until the generator shuts off. There are tank heaters, but you won't need to use that. If you'd like to have hot water while you're camping and you're plugged into the campground, use the 110. If you're not plugged into a campground, got a rest area or something and you want hot water, you can use propane also. And then you flick that on, but flick that off when you're done with it, so it's not always having a flame there. Then there's a slide extension, and when you extend the slide, make sure that there's no car or tree or anything that is on that side of the motorhome close by. And retract it is when you bring it in, and just make sure no one's sitting on it or riding on it. Also make sure that this seat is far enough back, and then I'll push the retract, and you gotta keep it pushed in until it completely retracts, completely comes back. Keep an eye on this, making sure that it goes past that seat and doesn't get hung up. Make sure no one's foot is in the way. And when it shuts off, then you can take your finger off of the retract. The cab of the RV, you have a wonderful windshield to look out of, to sightsee with. You get to see all around. But at night when you're camping, there's a shade that comes down, and there's a button right down in here that says night shade. There's also another button off to the right that allows you to start the generator from there. And you don't need to worry about fog lights so much. There's running lights on it, and there's cab lights right there too, if you decide to use it as a dome light. Tilt steering wheel, cruise control. If you need lights, it's all the way on the left. The lever for the signal lights doesn't have any other controls, so the lights have to be turned on there. The windshield wipers need to be turned on down there. And there's a little bit of a spare key, which I'll tell you about in just a little bit. The radio runs off a coach battery, and you push on the power button. When it pops on, it'll give you an opportunity to change channels or plug things in. Or you can also switch it to the cameras, to where when you're going down the road, you can watch the rear view camera if you want to look at the traffic behind you. You can still listen to the radio, but you can also have on the screen the rear view camera. There's cameras on the two signal lights, so whenever you turn on a signal light in one direction, a camera comes on, and you're able to enjoy that. This is a little flip-up compartment, so the passenger can work on a computer or eat a meal or whatever they like to do. So let's say that you've now come into your campsite and you're ready to go camping, and don't put out the slide yet. Wait till you're set up with that. First thing that I do is I take this little level and I place it on the floor, and I see how level the RV is. And at this point, their bubble is pretty much inside of the line, so that's close enough. But if it's not, there are boards in the back that you'll put under tires in order to level it. And you really need it level for pleasant sleeping and also the refrigerator. Each of the cabinets locks with the same key. So if you go out to unlock cabinets, there's one of these keys on the key ring, but instead of having that whole wad in your pocket, I have an extra one here to carry out to unlock the cabinets. And then also here's a key to lock the door of the RV. So if you're out, you can just put the ignition key somewhere else and then just take with you only this one little key so it doesn't fill up your pants pocket with a wad of keys on it. So now that we've got to our campsite and we've noticed if it was level or not, we can go around and hook up. If you need to add fresh water, here's where you add fresh water to this little inlet right here on the side. Keep an eye on that. Here's that compartment, goes all the way through. There's a ladder on the back side of the RV, but don't climb on it. And back here I have the compartment open, but what you're going to find back there, like hook up first generally, is the electrical cord. And the electrical cord is 30 amp. It has this kind of a setup with it, with a light up on top. Generally I'll do this first because I want to get the air conditioning going inside of the RV. So I plug this in and just kind of put this cap over it and let it come down. And then this end of it goes into the outlet box next to you that the campground supplies. 30 amp. If for some reason you are hooking up at home or hooking somewhere else with a regular kind of outlet, I do have an adapter in here that you can use, but really the 20 amp is not going to run the air conditioner very well. Next, I usually hook up the water hose, and it has a regulator on it, and that's the part that goes onto the adapter there at the RV entrance, kind of regulating the pressure of the water that goes into the RV. And then the other end goes into whatever spigot that they have. You don't need to dump all the time or every day, but if you have full hookups and you want to dump before you leave in the morning or something like that, you're welcome to do so. This is the hose that you'll be hooking up with this kind of a hookup. And there's an extension hose there too, if you should need it. A couple other extra things. There's a cable there for if you're at a place where cable TV. There's also some rubber gloves that you might want to use. There's that adapter that I was talking about. There's a dustpan, and there's a broom, there's a mop in there, there's boards in there for leveling, whatever you might need in that area. Of course, there's the gas, unleaded gas. Regular unleaded gas works real well. There's an outdoor shower, so if you want to use it coming from the beach and got some sand on you, or you just want to freshen with some fresh water, you can grab a quick shower off right there. This compartment is just the holding tank. There's nothing there. It won't do you any good. Here is where you hook up the sewer. We'll open this compartment. Here you have the valves for the black tank and the gray tank. And there's a cap on that. And you take that cap off, screw it off, and I set it aside. And then you take that sewer hose, and from underneath, you hook it up to this area here, using that teeth, just as this is right here. Make sure you get it on good and tight, that sewer hose, because you don't want it to come off when you're right here. You'll get stuff you don't want. Then once you're hooked up here, and you have the other end put into their septic receiver, then take the black tank and pull that knob up. And that'll drain the black water out of that tank. Listen for it. When it's done running, then take the gray water and let it go. And what that does is it kind of flushes whatever other stuff that from the black tank that might be in your hose and getting it down. Then you go into the bathroom in the stool, or have someone else do so, and run some water. Put your foot on that pedal. Put that pedal all the way down and run a bunch of water through. I often take my hose and even put it in there to get some good pressure going. But that'll wrench out that black water tank. And then when you're still running some water into that black water tank. You shut the black water valve and let some water go into the black water tank. So that way your toilet tissue, when you're using it, has some water in it to dissolve all of that. And also then shut your gray. Put that cap back on there and go ahead and shut this back up. This compartment has the propane tank. So you can fill the propane. There's also an extra door key there in case you lose the key. Behind this compartment, I have a George Foreman little grill, and there's also electric frying pan, which is kind of nice in the mornings to have it on your picnic table, fry some eggs or bacon or whatnot. But there's also an extension cord there because it does not work very well to plug into the side of the motorhome. It gets too much juice, and if you happen to use the microwave when you're also using the George Foreman, it'll flick a breaker. So I use the extension cord to plug into wherever the electrical outlet is. They usually have a regular 110 one there too, and I'll run that to our picnic table. Again, the cameras are on each of the mirrors. In the front is the hood where the engine is, but you should not have to get into there. But if for some reason you do have some mechanical problem, they each have a little lock on the side, and that was the key that I was showing you along the wall next to the driver's seat. So it's a great driving RV, has lots of power, does great in mountains, and I think you'll really, truly love camping in it. Be safe.